December 1944. A single reconnaissance pilot crosses into German airspace armed only with cameras. His orders are explicit: photograph the bridge and return. No combat, no deviation. But 9 enemy fighters rise to meet him. In 40 minutes, protocol will shatter, and a man who came to observe will rewrite the assumptions of an entire air command. The Ardennes Forest sprawls beneath a sky the color of wet steel. It is the 14th of December, and the Western Front holds its breath. Allied commanders believe the German war machine is collapsing. Intelligence reports suggest a quiet sector. But beneath the canopy of frozen pines, panzer divisions are coiling in silence. Photo-reconnaissance pilots fly the loneliest missions of the war. No gunners, no formation support, just speed, altitude, and the hope that enemy fighters are occupied elsewhere. They carry vertical cameras mounted in the fuselage, massive instruments that capture terrain in surgical detail. Every rail yard, every pontoon bridge, every fuel dump becomes geometry on film. The analysts back at headquarters depend on these images the way surgeons depend on X-rays. Without them, bomber crews fly blind. The 10th Photographic Reconnaissance Group operates out of Chalgrove, England. Their planes are modified P-38 Lightnings and F-6 Mustangs stripped of armor and guns to make room for cameras and extra fuel. Speed is their only defense. The doctrine is absolute: avoid contact, preserve the aircraft, bring back the film. Combat is mission failure. First Lieutenant William R. Myers, Jr. is 23 years old. He flies an F-6C, a reconnaissance variant of the P-51 Mustang. He has logged 32 photographic sorties over occupied Europe. He understands the mathematics of survival. Altitude equals time, time equals distance, distance equals home. On the morning of December 14th, he receives a briefing for a routine sortie. The target is a rail bridge near the German border. Intelligence wants fresh images. Weather is marginal, low clouds over the continent, visibility patchy. The mission is coded as low priority. He is told to photograph the bridge and avoid engagement at all costs. Myers walks to his aircraft in the gray pre-dawn light. Ground crews have fueled and checked the cameras. The Mustang sits on the hard stand, engine cold, aluminum skin slick with condensation. He climbs into the cockpit. The canopy closes with a pneumatic hiss. Instruments flicker to life. Altimeter, airspeed, manifold pressure. The Merlin engine coughs once, then roars. He lifts off at 0700 hours. England falls away beneath him. Fields stitched with hedgerows, villages still darkened by blackout discipline. The Channel is a gray void. France appears as a smudge of darker gray. He climbs to 25,000 feet, where the air is thin and bitterly cold. Crossing into enemy airspace is a transition marked by nothing but a map coordinate. No border fence, no visible change in terrain. But the sensation is immediate: a tightening in the chest, a sharpening of attention. Every contrail could be a fighter. Every shadow on the clouds could be flak. The bridge appears exactly where the maps predict. Myers banks into his photo run. The cameras begin their mechanical clatter. Film advances, lenses capture the iron lattice of the bridge, the rail lines converging, the river beneath. It takes 90 seconds. The mission is complete. Then the radio crackles. A voice, urgent, clipped. Bandits, multiple contacts, high and closing. He scans the sky. 9 dark shapes peel out of the cloud layer above him. Focke-Wulf 190s, single-seat fighters, fast, maneuverable, and flown by pilots who have survived 3 years of attrition. They are diving now, positioning for a firing pass. Myers has no guns. The camera bays occupy the space where .50 caliber machine guns would normally be mounted. His aircraft is faster in level flight, but not in a climb, not with a full fuel load. The doctrine is clear. Run. Use speed. Get to friendly airspace. But 9 fighters can bracket an escape route. They can take angles, cut him off, herd him into flak zones. Running is mathematics, and the mathematics are not favorable. He makes a decision that will be dissected by intelligence officers, flight instructors, and historians for the next 80 years. He turns into the attackers. If this story of defiance and precision matters to you, like and subscribe so these voices aren't lost to time. William Myers grew up in Pennsylvania, in a town where railroads met steel mills. His father worked in logistics, freight manifests, route planning, the algebra of tonnage and time. Myers inherited a mind that saw systems, cause, effect, sequence, outcome. He was not a natural fighter pilot. The men who excelled in air combat often possessed an aggressive instinct, a hunger for the fight. Myers was quieter, methodical. He approached flying the way an engineer approaches blueprints. Every maneuver had a reason, every decision a calculated risk. He enlisted in 1942. Flight training took him through primary school in Texas, basic and advanced in Arizona. Instructors noted his precision. He flew by numbers, airspeeds exact, altitudes maintained, fuel consumption monitored. He did not showboat. He did not push limits for the thrill. He flew as though every gallon of fuel and every minute of engine time were rationed. When he was assigned to photo reconnaissance, it suited him. The missions required patience, discipline, and an ability to suppress fear in favor of procedure. There was a purity to it, no bombs to drop, no strafing runs, just the aircraft, the camera, and the objective. He deployed to England in the spring of 1944. The 10th Photographic Reconnaissance Group was tasked with pre-invasion mapping. Every beach, every hedgerow, every gun emplacement along the Normandy coast had to be documented. Myers flew sortie after sortie, often alone, threading between flak bursts and fighter patrols. He learned to read the sky, the way sunlight revealed contrails, the way clouds offered concealment, the way flak smoke lingered in still air. He did not think of himself as brave. Bravery implied emotion. He thought of himself as careful. Carefulness kept you alive. By December, the war had moved east. The reconnaissance missions shifted from beaches to bridges, from coastal defenses to supply lines. The Luftwaffe was weakened, but not gone. Fighter encounters were rarer now, but when they happened, they were lethal. German pilots in late 1944 were either veterans who had survived years of combat or desperate recruits thrown into cockpits with minimal training. The veterans were dangerous. Myers had seen aircraft shot down. He had watched Mustangs and Lightnings trailing smoke, spiraling into the earth. He had listened to final radio transmissions, voices tight with shock, sometimes silent. He understood that survival was not heroism. It was statistics. Every mission was a roll of dice weighted by skill, luck, and the decisions of men you would never meet. On the morning of December 14th, he did not feel special. He felt cold. The flight suit was heavy, lined with fleece, but at altitude, the cold seeped through. His hands were stiff inside leather gloves. His breath fogged the inside of the oxygen mask. He had photographed the bridge. The mission was complete. Now 9 enemy fighters were closing on him, and the doctrine that had kept him alive for 32 missions was about to become irrelevant. The problem with running from 9 fighters is geometry. A single pursuer can be evaded by speed and angle. 9 pursuers form a net. They do not need to catch you immediately. They only need to push you into a box. Lower altitude, slower speed, longer exposure to fire. Myers knows this. Every reconnaissance pilot knows this. The standard response is to dive, trade altitude for speed, extend the distance, and hope the pursuers break off or run low on fuel. But the Focke-Wulf 190 is fast in a dive. It is built for energy fighting, rapid climbs and dives, slashing attacks. If Myers dives, they will follow, and once he is low, the ground becomes another enemy. Flak batteries, terrain, no room to maneuver. The alternative is to climb, but climbing bleeds speed. A slow aircraft is a dead aircraft. The F-6 Mustang, stripped of guns and loaded with fuel, is not optimized for air combat. It is a camera platform. It is not supposed to be here. The 9 fighters split into 2 groups. 6 form a high cover. 3 dive toward Myers. This is standard Luftwaffe doctrine: multiple attack angles, overlapping fields of fire. The goal is to force the target into evasive maneuvers that scrub off speed. Then the rest of the formation closes in. Myers does not dive. He does not climb. He turns into the lead fighter. The maneuver is called a head-on pass. It is aggressive, dangerous, and rarely attempted in reconnaissance aircraft. The closure rate is immense. 2 aircraft hurtling toward each other at combined speeds exceeding 600 miles per hour. The window for firing is measured in fractions of a second. Most pilots flinch. Most pilots break away. Myers does not have guns. But the German pilot does not know that. The lead Focke-Wulf opens fire. Tracers arc through the Kong, bright, slow-seeming lines of light. Myers holds his course. The distance collapses. At the last possible moment, he breaks hard left, pulling the Mustang into a vertical bank. The G-forces crush him into the seat. Blood drains from his head. Vision tunnels. The horizon tilts 90 degrees. The Focke-Wulf flashes past. Wingtip to wingtip. Close enough to see the rivets. Close enough to feel the turbulence of its passage. Myers rolls out. The 3 attacking fighters have overshot. They are below him now, their energy spent in the dive. The 6 high fighters are still above, but they are reacting, not initiating. They expected him to run. He did not. He has bought himself seconds, maybe 10, maybe 15. He climbs. The Merlin engine screams. The airframe shudders. He is trading speed for altitude again, but now he has forced the enemy to reset. The 3 low fighters are pulling up, trying to regain position. The 6 high fighters are diving, but they are not diving in formation. They are reacting individually. The net has holes. Myers slips through one. In the debrief that will follow, intelligence officers will ask him what he was thinking. He will tell them he was not thinking. He was calculating. Every fighter has an energy state, a combination of speed and altitude that defines what maneuvers it can perform. High and fast means options. Low and slow means desperation. Myers cannot outclimb the Focke-Wulfs, but he can force them to spend energy. Every attack they commit to, every hard turn, every high G maneuver burns fuel and bleeds airspeed. He has one advantage. They believe he is unarmed, but they do not know for certain. The F-6 looks like a P-51. The silhouette is identical. A cautious pilot will assume it might bite back. The second head-on pass is closer. The German pilot fires earlier this time, a longer burst. Myers sees the muzzle flashes. He sees the tracer rounds converging. He waits until the geometry is perfect, then breaks right. The Focke-Wulf breaks left. They mirror each other for an instant. 2 aircraft rolling in opposite directions, close enough that their prop wash intersects. The German recovers first. He pulls into a steep climb, trying to loop back for another pass. Myers does not follow. He dives instead, just enough to build speed, then levels out and turns back toward the remaining fighters. They do not expect this. Reconnaissance pilots do not turn toward threats. They do not seek engagement. But Myers is not seeking engagement. He is seeking chaos. He flies directly through the middle of the formation. The high fighters scatter. 2 peel left, 2 peel right. One overshoots and ends up in front of him. Myers pulls his nose up just slightly, as if lining up a shot. The Focke-Wulf breaks hard, jinking away. No shots are fired, because Myers has no guns, but the German does not know that. And the break costs him speed, costs him position. Myers is through. Open sky ahead. The border is 40 miles west. The fighters are behind him now, disordered, their energy states fractured. He runs. But the 9 do not give up. They regroup. They press. At 22,000 feet, the 3rd fighter closes to firing range. Myers sees the tracer stream again, bright, floating, deceptively slow. He breaks left, then immediately reverses right. The German overshoots. Myers pulls up into a climbing turn. The 4th fighter is waiting. It fires. Myers rolls inverted and pulls through, a split S maneuver that trades altitude for separation. He is at 18,000 feet now, lower than he wants. The ground is a patchwork of brown and white, fields and snow. The sky is pale, washed out, the sun a dim smudge behind high clouds. The 5th fighter attacks from above. Myers sees it late, too late. The cannon rounds snap past, 20-millimeter shells that sound like tearing canvas. One punches through the left wing. Myers feels the impact through the control stick, a sharp vibration, then a slight pull to the left. The wing is damaged, but still flying. Fuel is streaming, not a rupture, a puncture. The self-sealing tanks are working, but he is losing fuel faster than planned. He has 90 miles to the border, maybe 60 minutes of fuel. The math is tightening. The 6th fighter comes in from the side. Myers turns into it. Another head-on. This time the German does not break. They both hold. The distance collapses. 1,000 feet, 500, 200. Myers sees the pilot's face, or thinks he does, or imagines it. A silhouette in a canopy. A man like him. At the last instant, they both break. Opposite directions. Pure instinct, the survival reflex overriding doctrine. Myers pulls so hard the wings flex. The airframe groans. The Merlin engine howls. His vision grays at the edges. He eases off just slightly, just enough to stay conscious. The 7th fighter is closing from behind. Myers has no rearview mirror, only instinct and peripheral vision. He sees the dark shape growing. He breaks low, skimming over a ridgeline. The fighter follows. They are low now, 300 feet above the ground. Trees blur beneath them, church steeples, roads, a truck convoy scattering. Myers pulls up. The German follows. They climb together, 2 spirals intertwined. Myers levels out at 12,000 feet. The German is still there, still closing. Myers breaks hard right. The German cuts inside his turn, gaining 50 yards, 40, 30. Then the German's engine coughs. A thin trail of smoke appears. It coughs again. The fighter drops away, rolling left, losing altitude. Engine failure. Maybe fuel starvation. Maybe damage from the high G maneuvering. Myers does not know. He does not wait to find out. He turns west. Full throttle. The Merlin engine responds. The fuel gauge is low, very low, but the border is close. The 8th and 9th fighters make one last attempt. They dive from above, bracketing him. Myers sees them coming. He waits, lets them commit. Then breaks between them, a barrel roll that carries him through the gap. They flash past on. Either side. They do not follow. Maybe low on fuel, maybe low on ammunition, maybe just out of airspace. The border, the Rhine, Allied territory. Myers crosses at 8,000 feet. The fuel warning light is glowing red. The left wing is still streaming vapor. His hands are shaking, not from fear, from the adrenaline draining away. He lands at an emergency field in Belgium. The Mustang coughs once on final approach, the engine starved for fuel. He sets it down hard. The tires bark, the tail sinks. The propeller ticks to a stop. Ground crew swarm the aircraft. They count the holes. 14. Cannon rounds, machine gun fire, 1 through the wing, 3 through the tail. The rest scattered across the fuselage. They ask him what happened. He tells them he took pictures. They ask if he engaged. He says no, he did not have guns. They ask how he survived. He does not have an answer. The film is developed that evening. The images are sharp, perfectly framed. The bridge is there, every girder, every support, every rail line. The mission is a success. But the report that reaches headquarters is not about the bridge, it is about the 9 fighters. Intelligence officers interview Myers. They want to know how a reconnaissance pilot, unarmed, evaded 9 Focke-Wulf 190s over enemy territory. They want to know if he violated protocol by engaging. He tells them he did not engage, he evaded, he used aggression as evasion. He turned into threats because running created predictability. Predictability was death. They ask if he fired. He reminds them he has no guns. They ask if the enemy knew that. He says no. This becomes the key insight. The appearance of threat is tactically equivalent to the threat itself, if the opponent believes it. Myers used the enemy's caution against them. Every head-on pass forced a reaction. Every reaction burned energy. Energy is finite. Time is finite. He made them spend both until the math tipped in his favor. The debrief is forwarded to the 8th Air Force Tactical Analysis Section. They classify it as a case study. Reconnaissance doctrine is quietly updated. Pilots are told that evasion does not always mean retreat, that aggression, properly applied, can create separation, that the mind is a weapon even when the aircraft is not. But the story does not end there. 3 weeks after Myers's mission, the Ardennes explodes. The German offensive crashes through the quiet sector. The Battle of the Bulge begins. Allied commanders, caught off guard, scramble for intelligence. Reconnaissance flights multiply. The doctrine Myers demonstrated, aggressive evasion, unpredictability, using enemy assumptions against them, becomes standard practice. Survival rates improve, not dramatically, but measurably. Pilots who would have run into predictable flight paths now vary their responses. They turn into threats, they feint, they disrupt the enemy's decision cycle. Myers himself flies 16 more missions. He photographs bridges, rail yards, and supply depots. He encounters enemy fighters twice more. Both times he evades without damage. In April 1945, the war in Europe ends. Myers returns to the United States. He is awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. The citation mentions his skill, his courage, and his completion of 48 combat sorties. It does not mention the 9 fighters. That remains in the classified debrief. A footnote in a tactical manual, a story told quietly among reconnaissance pilots. William Myers returned to Pennsylvania. He worked as a commercial pilot for a freight company, flying the same routes his father had once planned on paper. He married, he raised children. He did not speak much about the war. In 1983, a military historian tracked him down. The historian was writing about reconnaissance operations in the European theater. He asked Myers about December 14, 1944. Myers remembered, not the fear, not the adrenaline, but the math. He said the hardest part was not the fighters, it was the decision to turn toward them. Every instinct, every hour of training, every briefing said to run. But instinct is pattern, and patterns are predictable. The only way to survive 9 opponents was to become unpredictable. The historian asked if he ever regretted it. Myers said no. He said the alternative was certain. The choice was uncertain. Uncertainty was better. He died in 1998 at the age of 77. His logbook and debrief files were donated to the Air Force Historical Research Agency. The files sat in an archive for years. Researchers occasionally cited them. Fighter pilots studied the debrief. Flight instructors used it as an example of tactical creativity under pressure. But the broader lesson remained quiet, that a man armed only with cameras and logic had rewritten the rules of survival. That courage is not always loud. That defiance does not always look like rebellion. Sometimes it looks like a pilot turning toward 9 enemies because the math of running did not add up. The bridge he photographed was destroyed by Allied bombers 6 days later. The rail line was severed. The German supply chain in that sector collapsed. Historians will never know how much of the Allied success in the Ardennes came from that one set of photographs, but they know the photographs existed, and they know Myers brought them home. He did not destroy 9 planes that day. The historical record shows no confirmed kills, but he disrupted 9 fighters. He forced them to spend fuel, time, and energy. He denied them a kill, and in doing so, he proved something quieter than victory, that the unarmed can still fight, that survival is a form of resistance, that one man, alone in the sky, can turn toward the darkness and find a way through. Not because he was fearless, but because he understood that fear, like altitude, is a resource. You spend it when the math demands it, and when the math is impossible, you change the equation.